I want you to know that if you are buying a house right now and you feel like you're compromising, right? The rates are still a little bit higher and you just can't bump up to that price point and get where you want to be. And you're having to give up this one important thing that you just wanted in your home. It's okay. It's okay. You are not tied to this home forever. You look at this home as an investment for you and your future, right? You love this home, you bring it to life and enjoy it every bit that you can, and know that this house is going to help you get to where you want to go in the future. And that is awesome, right? It's okay to be happy and content, but not complacent. Hello, welcome to Closing Chapters, Everyday Real Estate Tales. I'm your host, Brittany Fry. I'm a realtor, I'm a military wife, and I'm a mom. Join me and come transaction by transaction throughout my real estate career starting back in 2016 to hear about the highs, the lows, and the unexpected turns along the way through all of my customers. It's going to be a crazy ride, you guys. I am so excited to share the past, the current, and then what's coming in the future. Hang tight for the ride. Join me about being a realtor, a military spouse, and a mom. Can't wait to see you there. Hey, happy Saturday, friends. I hope you had a fantastic day. As you can tell, I spent the day outside in the sun. I have a little bit of windburn, sunburn, and something going on, but either way, it's a beautiful day, and I'm so blessed. We kind of had a heads down, grind it out, work your little heart out type of week this week. So I really needed a day to put everything down and just be outside with my beautiful little family. That's exactly what we did. We went to Bennett Springs State Park, saw everybody fly fishing at the beautiful springs and all the trout, went on a little bit of a hike. And then when we came back to town, we went to another park over in Waynesville, let my daughter splash around in the creek, and my son had a blast throwing rocks in the water. It is a newfound glory for him. It was so cute and fun to watch. So I hope that you have the opportunity to get outside, enjoy the beautiful weather, and spend some time with your family today as well. But it is time to get down to business now. We need to talk about my next transaction that closed May 28th, 2018. And this transaction was kind of heartfelt and it truly wasn't super easy for my clients. We had a lot of up and down battles between thinking we had found the one and setting everything up and realizing that the finances just weren't going to work for that and regrouping, coming back to ground zero and ending up in a different neighborhood, being a different price point, and get them the house that they needed. And just imagine that you're in Las Vegas in a rental that's being sold, pregnant with your second child, at the end of your pregnancy, and you have all of this happening at once. This is their story. He was getting out of the military and then coming to work at Shaw Air Force Base as a government contractor. She was pregnant with her second beautiful little boy and packing up a house while they had people coming in and out to show it, take pictures, whatever they needed to do to get it on the market while they were still in the house, which is hard enough with one toddler under tow and trying to pack and move across the country. So there was a lot of emotion going into this. And when we were looking at houses, we were looking at new construction through Great Southern, which was awesome. We found this fantastic floor plan that they loved called the Magnolia. And I shared this love for her. It's an absolutely beautiful floor plan. 4 bedrooms, all on one floor, wide open spaces. And it has two, like you have your primary suite, and then there's like another guest suite nook in one corner. That's the fourth bedroom. And it was just so inviting. Have a covered patio on the back porch, and you just couldn't ask for more. Except we could. We needed it at a lower price point. The neighborhood that they picked out, traditionally, all of the houses are a little bit more expensive there. It was a nice location right in the heart of town, and this was a bigger footprint for the neighborhood. And the price point was around 260, and we just couldn't be there. We just couldn't. And that's okay. We all have to know where we're coming from because, like I just said, she was about to have a baby. She was also finishing up a job, and you can't really have a baby, get a job, and go right back to work all in one foul swoop when you're moving across the country. It's not easy. And they also made the decision at that point for her to stay at home with the kiddos, which is fantastic. And I'm so blessed that they had the opportunity to do that. But that also meant that we had to make sure we were paying attention to the finances. We had to make sure that they were within their means and that it was not going to stretch them thin. Because that's a horrible feeling to get into a property and just feel like, oh, I can't even be home with my babies anymore. I've got to get a job or this isn't going to work. Right. And I don't want that for anybody. So we had those conversations and we said, all right, if this isn't going to work price point wise, then we need to regroup. Like, what does this look like for us? And what can we get that gets you the square footage you need, right? An area that you desire. And the big thing was is that they just really wanted to be close to the base. They had been in areas where the husband had had to commute quite a bit to get to work, and they were ready for him just to be close to home. I can appreciate that. And so we started looking again and found them a great floor plan. It has 5 beds, 3 full baths, 2,700 square feet, or 2,272 square feet, excuse me. And it was an awesome floor plan for them. So we went to town and we were able to crunch the numbers and get them in at 203,000. A lot better than 260, right? So we got them in the door and we said, hey, look, this is the plan for now. We know this is not your forever home. This is a beautiful new construction home. And I lucked out and got a couple of options that were on the way out the door for Great Southern as a whole. So they have kind of a custom home, so to speak, compared to some of the other houses that were built after them. And it's worked. They've added a third baby since then, and they're still living there and thriving and doing a great job. Now, we talked about this not being their forever home. And that's still the plan. But I want to show you what this looks like, okay? You know how we keep talking about the stepping stones? They bought this house in 2018, right? We are 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We're almost at May, right? We'll be there in a couple months. So 6 years in, and right now, the houses in the neighborhood that are selling around their square footage are about 270, 275. They instantly have about $70,000 in equity just in the sales price differences in 6 years. And then they have paid on a mortgage for 6 years. They are going to have probably at least 100 grand in equity if they've done it right. And just a reminder, I tell all my clients this. When you are paying your mortgage, if you have the capability to go up to the next 50 or $100, you always should. And make sure it is paid towards the principal balance. Okay, because the simple math is the lower the principal is, the lower the interest is going to be, right? And that starts to flip flop. The more we pay down the principal, the less the interest will be. Because when we start out, our interest payment is usually much, much more than anything being applied to that principal balance. So we start to tip those scales and get it to the point where we're starting to pay more towards the principal than the interest. We have won the game, folks. We are on the way out. We are building our equity and we have a beautiful savings account waiting for us, right? Nothing comes for free in life. There's going to be that interest, it's going to be there. But when we can balance that out or get ahead of it, that is such a huge accomplishment. So if they've done it right, they're going to have a fantastic little nest egg there, right? At least 70,000. But the reality is there's more. So when we find the next property, and we're kind of in a waiting game, right? So we know what we're looking for. And if we see something, then we talk about it and we decide, like, hey, is this really in our parameters? Is it what we want to do? Is it where you want to be, money wise? And we hash it out. Eventually, we'll find the right thing. And I say this to say, like, when you decide you want to make a move, that doesn't mean it has to be right now. Okay. We've been talking about this next transition for about a year now. So I know it's coming and I know we want it, but it all has to make sense and it all has to align. She has gone back to work a little bit, so that's probably changing that dynamic at home a smidge. She's also homeschooling her boys. So they've got a lot of different things going on. That's a huge part of why we want to get them into a different space. She would really love to still have that one story home. And she wants room for the boys just to be boys. She wants to throw them out in the yard and say, don't come in until dinner time. And I am with her. That is such a fantastic opportunity to let those boys go and play and have such a fun time learning and growing and enjoy home. Let it be that piece of serenity that you can come home to. So we're going to get there. And I am so excited for them when they do. And the fact that I know they're going to have this huge nest egg just to roll into another property is so wonderful. It's going to give them so much flexibility and so much opportunity. And the fact that they know that they have this nest egg that they could count on, and they're still being adamant in particular about making sure they get in the right situation this next time, just shows to their character that slow and steady wins the race, right? We don't have to just jump to jump. Sometimes you need to jump or you're never going to move forward, right? And I'll be here to give you a little nudge nudge when it comes to that. But we haven't found something that has been like, all right, it doesn't get better than this. And if that day comes, then I'm going to say, look, it's not going to get better than this. You guys are either going to have to take it or leave it. You know, this is your dream. This is exactly what you've said. And we really need to have a serious conversation and look at the numbers. What does this truly look like? Because at the end of the day, right, wife is all about the property and everything that she wants in it in the house. Husband is very stuck on just the numbers. So at some point, we're going to have a meeting in the mind and say, hey, look, is this possible? Can we do this? Or this is it. You need to decide if you really want to swing it or not, because it's not going to get any better and it's not going to get any less expensive, right? So that's a huge conversation we have whenever there's a certain property that might seem close. And the other idea is that we find them some land that they can build on or do something with in the future. So I wanted to share all this just to say sometimes you don't get the perfect house. Sometimes we have to compromise. Most of the time, we have to compromise. Even if you built a house, a custom house from the ground up that you designed yourself, you will compromise something, a space, the finishes, flooring, something that you wanted is not going to be in stock anymore by the time you get there. It will never be perfect. It's never going to be the perfect time. It's never going to be the perfect finances. It's never going to be the perfect scenario for the house, okay? So when I say that, I want this to be an amazing experience, but I also want true expectation management, right? We need to realize that we can have everything we need and we can be in a beautiful, safe home and understand that there's still going to be something more that we may want in the future lacking or give and take. And that's okay. And I've talked about this before, but my husband and I absolutely love the fact that we've been in so many houses over the past couple of years because we have this opportunity. We've been making kind of an ongoing list of what we love in a house that we've had or what we dislike. That way we can kind of like have a rolling tide of what we really want to mesh together in a future property or what we're really going to look for. Like these are our high ticket items, right? And that's okay. And let me tell you, one of the high ticket items that we did get for them that was not going to be in the single story house was they had a bonus space upstairs, like a little foyer area upstairs, which has been great to have a nook for the boys up there, right? So sometimes, even though we have to trade off, there's that little added bonus that just helps along the way. And she doesn't have neighbors behind her, which is also another great bonus, right? And she didn't have a neighbor to the left side of her for the longest time. That was like the last lot to be built in the neighborhood. So she kind of had a pretty cake for a little while there. It was pretty awesome. But, you know, when the time comes, I hope that I have the opportunity to help them shift and move to the next property. And a big part of this is depending on where they go is who they use for certain things, right? And I want to say this too, so that we realize as realtors that we are not the end all be all of the time. I absolutely want to be your trusted advisor, and I want to be the one that you come through for anything and everything real estate related. Okay. But if we have an idea or we are looking in two different areas and I may not have access to that area or you have another contact in another area, then as an agent, I have to understand that and be able to take the back seat, right? I know that I have my part to play. I know that I'm here for you when you need me 100% for your needs in this area. And if I'm able to help you or facilitate things in a different area, fantastic. But in this case, we had that conversation where she said, "Hey, Brittany, I just want you to know, she grew up in the surrounding area. So she has contacts in the other areas. It's like, hey, if we go back closer to home, I need you to know that I'm going to use this other realtor to purchase there. But you will always be the one that helps us sell our house here in Sumter." Right? So I'm so proud of them for having that conversation with me up front and letting me know. That way I have the expectation management too, because otherwise, every time they bring up a property in those other areas, I get excited and I start going to town. I'm like, hey, what about this? What about that? And I don't need to do all of that. I need to be able to step back and say, hey, I know your person on that end's got you. If you need anything, you just let me know. Right? And it's the same thing from state to state. This is how it works with referrals. I have so many trusted advisors throughout just about every state in the United States, Canada included, Puerto Rico included, Hawaii, I mean, anywhere. And so when I refer you out, it's somebody that I have had a conversation with, that I have a relationship with. We use the same business coaching company, we have the same morals and principles and ideas of how we should run a business, right? So overall, the transaction should feel very similar to working with me. And that is why we use each other as referral partners, right? It's never going to be perfect 100% of the time, but the idea that I can help facilitate that. And then if something is cumbersome or hard or difficult, or we're having a barrier of entry in some way, then I can help, meet that gap. But when you go to somebody random that I don't know and then something happens, I can't bridge that gap. I can't help facilitate anything, right? But a lot of times we had that relationship. We've already been through a transaction before and the ups and the downs. And I realized, what happened to trigger you or how you needed it explained. And if something happens in a new transaction, then I might be able to help that agent get past that hurdle, right? They might call me and say, "Hey, Brittany, it seems like we're getting hung up on this, and I don't really know why." And I can say, "Oh, I got you. This is what we experienced in the past. This is why this is, like affecting them. If we can just show them this, this, and this, I think everything will be a-okay." And that is the true beauty of working by referral, especially agent to agent, is we can support one another, especially when it truly is someone we know, right? We're always going to have those instances every once in a while where somebody calls up and says, "Hey, I just need help. You helped my sister buy a house and da 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 da," right? And we may not have that direct connection. But when we do, this is one of the huge benefits that we have of being able to work by referral and pass you along to somebody that we know, like, and trust just the same. Yeah. So I want you to know that if you are buying a house right now and you feel like you're compromising, right? The rates are still a little bit higher and you just can't bump up to that price point and get where you want to be. And you're having to give up this one important thing that you just wanted in your home. It's okay. It's okay. You are not tied to this home forever. You look at this home as an investment for you and your future, right? You love this home, you bring it to life and enjoy it every bit that you can, and know that this house is going to help you get to where you want to go in the future. And that is awesome, right? It's okay to be happy and content, but not complacent. So if you want to talk about that strategy and know what it looks like to say, all right, Brittany, get me where I need to be now. And this is my goal for the future. I need you to help me get there. What can we do? What does this look like? I would love to have that conversation with you. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. I can't wait for you to join me on Wednesday to get another little nugget of wisdom. And I will see you then. Have a good one.